Tonight on 69 News Weekend Edition, she came and went. Irene ripped through the Lehigh Valley overnight, leaving behind plenty of water, debris, and headaches. In New Jersey, dealing with the aftermath, the governor says it's time to prepare for flooding. New Yorkers are breathing a sigh of relief now that Irene has left Manhattan. Those stories and much more, plus the complete AccuWeather forecast with 69 News meteorologist Matt Broderick. And Jim Vaughn has sports. Good evening. I'm Karin Mallett. 69 News Weekend Edition starts now.
Your life, your world, your news. This is 69 News Weekend Edition, live at 6.
She came in like a lion, and now what was once Hurricane Irene is now a tropical storm. As Irene goes through New England, it's losing strength, but not before leaving a path of destruction up and down the East Coast, including here in the Lehigh Valley. The rain moved through, but the wind has been gusting all day, so let's head right to meteorologist Matt Broderick for the latest tonight. Matt.
All right, Karen, thanks very much. Yeah, and that wind does continue to be an issue here. It will not slacken off until a little bit later this evening, so it's still a little bit on the gusty side. These are sustained winds, 18 in the Lehigh Valley, 20 in Stroudsburg, 22 in Reading. We're still seeing some of these gusts past 35 and even 40 miles an hour, and that's still an issue with the ground saturated. So there's still the opportunity of trees and branches coming down right through a good portion of the evening until, again, the winds will diminish a little bit later on tonight. So we'll show you those wind gusts in a few more minutes. Here's good news, is that the rain is generally over with. There is a little bit of shower activity or a little drizzle out there, some sprinkles in some areas, but nothing of any more significance as the system continues to pull off toward the north. It is a tropical storm. The 5 o'clock advisory winds now at 50 miles an hour, but still causing all sorts of flooding rains to the north. All right, this is the Delaware River, Easton, Peaburg, and Riegelsville in particular. Those two locations, because at Belvedere we don't expect flooding. At Trenton, some minor flooding may occur later on tonight and into tomorrow. However, at Easton, Peaburg, and Riegelsville, flooding begins tonight, I would think over the next couple of hours, because we're getting very close to flood stage. And we'll show you those numbers in a few more minutes, but we're about 1.5 feet or less from flood stage at Easton, Peaburg, and in Riegelsville. Major flooding is expected to start later tonight, through the day tomorrow, and even into Tuesday. Now, the river will crest tomorrow during the morning or into the afternoon, meaning it gets to its highest point and then will start to recede, but it doesn't go below flood stage until we hit Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening. So this is not an up and a down. It's up over flood stage for a couple of days, and then it does start to come down by later on Tuesday. Major flooding expected again. That would be Delaware along Easton, Peaburg, and Riegelsville. Full details, rainfall amounts, all that coming up in detail in a few more minutes. Now, Karen, back over to you.
We'll see you then. Thanks, Matt. WFMZ has been keeping an eye on the storm since the rain began yesterday afternoon, and we've got team coverage for you again tonight. WFMZ's Jaccii Farris is live in Easton. We'll talk with her in just a moment, but first, let's see how folks in Lehigh County were impacted. For that, WFMZ's Will Lewis is live in Allentown tonight with more. Will.
Well, yeah, Karen, it looks really sunny here. Like Matt said, the rain has stopped and the sun's shining. I'm going to go ahead and show you the Lehigh River right by Hamilton. This is the river coming down, and as it's coming down, raging there. But you know what a difference 24 hours makes. This time yesterday, people were wondering how much damage then Hurricane Irene would do. Now they are dealing with flooding. Look at all the water. Martin Luther King Drive in Allentown looks more like a river than a main thoroughfare. Allentown Mayor Ed Pawlowski surveyed the damage with his staff and couldn't believe it.
It is higher than I've ever seen it before, and there's trees down all over the city.
There was a lot of debris in the water, and in some parts of the county, water at least 2 feet high. In Macungie, Spring Creek flowed over Spring Creek Road, putting part of it underwater.
It's pretty amazing how quickly things can change, and really the overall power of nature, where, you know, the last couple of days have been, you know, just normal summer days, and within 24 hours the whole landscape changes.
Even with water on the roadway, some drivers weren't heeding the words, "Turn around, don't drown."
It is scary. It's really scary.
In the upper part of Lehigh County, a lot of roads were closed due to trees falling and downed power lines. And even though people are cleaning up their own mess, some of their thoughts are on helping each other.
I'm really concerned for Easton, too. They're on the Delaware. We're just on, tributaries. And you can see the damage that these tributaries have caused.
Yeah, now Mayor Ed Pawlowski said he knows Easton will get the full force of that flooding. Pawlowski also says that early this morning he did talk with Easton Mayor Sal Panto, and he said that Allentown will lend a helping hand to Easton if they need it. Reporting live in Allentown, Will Lewis, 69 News.
Good to hear, Will. Thank you. So now let's go to Easton, Northampton County, where Jaccii Farris is standing by and keeping an eye on the Delaware. Jaccii.
Well, Karen, in the 24 hours since we first came out here to where the Lehigh River pours into the Delaware, we have watched as the arc or bow of the falls has slowly disappeared. The water will start to rise very rapidly now. Today's wet and windy weather is just the beginning for the city of Easton and the surrounding area. Irene's wrath was felt early in the Easton area as the Bushkill Creek spilled over, submerging cars and lapping its way up to the front door of these condos on Bushkill Road. A reverse 911 call to low-lying residents urged evacuations.
Most everybody's out. I think there's still some people up on the third floor.
But some waited, barely making it out.
I had to move everything out from the first floor up to the second floor and swim my way out, essentially.
The onslaught of rain and fierce winds brought down trees and limbs all over the area. In Robsville, 611 was closed and power knocked out.
The PennDOT guys are here to clear the roads as quickly as possible so traffic can start to flow again.
As the day progressed, people lined the observation deck at Riverside Park, watching in disbelief as the water grew higher and higher.
This is bad, but I lived through the 55 flood, which took out the center of the Northampton Street Bridge.
How bad Irene will be has yet to be seen. Monday, the Delaware will crest, delivering massive flooding along low-lying areas. Mayor Sal Panto says emergency crews have been setting up barricades to keep people out of harm's way. But he worries some people will go around them, get stuck, and place even more pressure on an emergency response team already working nonstop to keep residents safe.
The barricades are there for a reason. Don't go around it. You will get cited.
That fine, by the way, is $100. The Delaware is expected to crest around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. 69 News will be back out live here when that happens. In Easton, Jaccii Farris, 69 News.
Let's go to Berks County now. Moderate damage, flooding, and widespread power outages kept crews busy there throughout the day. WFMZ's Melissa Fullerton has more on what Irene left behind there.
We'll start in Birdsboro, where a muddied Hay Creek was rushing with the force of a major river. Hurricane Irene raised the water levels here, leaving some of the flood-prone areas underwater.
This is a normal condition when we get heavy rain.
The soft ground also lost its grasp on some trees.
I came out the door, I heard this, it just cracked, and then down it came.
The tree near Bob Lessig's backyard created a damming effect that sent water over the banks and into yards. In Exeter Township, winds brought trees down on power lines and uprooted this one completely along Route 562, closing the road in both directions. In Kutztown, one parking lot near the Saucony Creek was sure to keep insurance agents busy. At the intersection of Industrial and Normal Avenues, one driver was too bold and ended up stranded in the flooded streets.
It probably wasn't a good idea just to try and drive, but it kind of sucks their stuff.
Kutztown University student Lindsay Johnson had just moved in for the start of the semester.
Our electricity's out.
The entire university was left in the dark for hours. In Reading, Irene knocked down power lines near 6th and Douglas Streets. In fact, electricity was an issue all over Berks County. In some cases, it was out. In other cases, it was in the way of cleanup efforts.
We have a lot of our communication lines down, but the problem we're having is the huge trees also took the electrical lines down. And we can't get anywhere near our stuff until the electric companies get their new lines up and recharged.
One more reason Irene's impact will last longer than the storm itself. Melissa Fullerton, 69 News.
Officials in Berks County are offering assistance to those affected by the storm. 2 shelters are being opened to assist folks with power outages. They're located at Hamburg Middle School in Hamburg and at St. John's Gibraltar UCC on St. John's Road in Robeson Township. The shelters will offer food and cots for those who need to stay overnight, and they opened at 5:30 tonight. People who live near the Monocacy Creek in Bethlehem are no stranger to flooding, and the waters were once again rising there this morning. We found a number of people getting out of their cars on the Broad Street Bridge. They were stopping to watch the water running near the old industrial quarter.
Got up this morning for a cup of coffee and tried to venture up to Wawa, but couldn't get there. So came down this way and saw everybody standing here looking at the water come up. So I decided to get out, check it out myself.
Several parts of Bethlehem were underwater today. Many roads were closed while crews were dealing with the flooding. Officials in Carbon County also dealing with some flooding there. Part of Delaware Avenue and Palmerton Borough is closed due to the water. We're also told a voluntary evacuation is in place for residents who live in the 500 or 600 blocks of Lehigh Avenue in Palmerton. Anyone in need of shelter can head to Palmerton Borough Hall. The powerful wind gusts coupled with the wet ground are causing lots of trees to come down. Here's a tree covered part of Honeysuckle Road in Salisbury Township, Lehigh County, closing it down. The trees also brought down some wires, caused a mess across the roadway. A similar scene not too far from Honeysuckle Road on East Rock Road in Salisbury Township. A tree blew into power and cable lines near the road there, causing power outages. There is no time frame yet when crews will be dispatched to fix those lines. They've got a lot of work to do. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Corbett updated residents on the state's response to Hurricane Irene's damage. Corbett says 3 people in the state have died as a result of the storm. That number is now actually up to 4. He says the state has used all of its resources to make sure the response was efficient and requests for help are being answered. Corbett also says he asked President Obama to declare a state of emergency in the state, including Lehigh, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, and other eastern counties due to potential flooding.
If you are driving or walking and you see water, standing water or moving water, a flooded road, be careful. You may not know, we probably don't know, how deep that water is at that location.
It is a similar situation in New Jersey, where Governor Chris Christie is saying Hurricane Irene has delivered record flooding there. The governor held a news conference in Ewing, Mercer County.
Stay inside. Please stay inside. Stay home today. Don't get out on the road today unless you absolutely have to. We're still experiencing winds of 45 miles an hour that can cause, because of the wet grounds, fallen trees, and other issues on the roadway regarding flooding.
Christie says the state is expecting record flooding in the coming days along the Ramapo River and Pompton Lake. People who were ordered to leave their homes in New York City were given the okay to return this afternoon. Mayor Michael Bloomberg lifted the evacuation order for Hurricane Irene at 3 o'clock. The city saw some flooding in lower Manhattan and other low-lying neighborhoods. There were also some downed trees and power lines, but it was not the disaster many had feared. For complete coverage on Irene, go to WFMZ.com. There you can find the latest weather maps, traffic cameras and alerts, road closures, and the latest emergency information. It is all just a click away and always on. There's more ahead tonight on. So we're still keeping an eye on Irene, but the worst is over for us, at least in terms of the storm coming through.
The storm coming through, yeah. The winds are still out there, but yeah, definitely the worst is over, except, of course, for the Delaware.
Yeah, lots going on there.
Lots going on there. All right, let's get to it. We've got temperature-wise, which, you know, they've been holding steady all day long, cloudy until the last hour, hour and a half, and then some locations getting pretty sunny, especially south and west, even some of that sunshine trying to make its way into the Lehigh Valley with temperatures, again, pretty close to that 70-degree mark. Lows tonight pretty comfortable, actually, as we'll get down into the middle 50s, so that's a lot more comfortable with less humidity. All right, wind, 21 sustained Reading, 18 Valley, 20 in Stroudsburg, 16 in Philly, Trenton at 24. Here's the problem, and this continues to be an issue. Now, you notice here, that is pretty good wind there, but gusts to 34 in Stroudsburg, 37 in the Lehigh Valley, 36 in Trenton, and 25 in Reading. So we're still dealing with this as Irene continues to pull away. It is a tropical storm up over New York and into New England. Just 50-mile-an-hour winds now, but it's still causing some of this wind around, which eventually later this evening will begin to diminish. So it's still not out of the question that a couple of trees or branches can come down through the evening hours. Rainfall amounts from this storm, very impressive, and obviously just way too much to handle with our saturated ground. 5 inches in the Lehigh Valley, 3 in Reading, 5 1/4 at Mount Pocono, and 5 3/4 inches in Philly. Same thing in Trenton, by the way. So a lot of rain. Parts of Gloucester County and Jersey, more than 11 inches of rain. Peak wind gusts so far, Lehigh Valley at 48. Same thing in Reading. A couple of 52s here for Philly and Trenton. The wind gusts were higher at the shore, up to about 80, 90 miles an hour. To our south, and certainly across portions of North Carolina. Well, there it goes, the spin. It's cruising, moving at 26 miles an hour now, the tropical storm to the north and the east. Eventually just will become a tropical depression. You can see where that line is. Look at that nice clearing line starting to take place through Berks County and now parts of the Lehigh Valley, eventually into Jersey and up into the Poconos over the next hour, hour and a half as the sun starts to set. So a quiet night tonight as far as the weather goes. Clearly the issue will be the Delaware. Now, the good news is, here's the last of this shower and spritz activity starting to move away toward the north and the east. So any little bit of drizzle or sprinkle pretty much gone within the hour. The issue is not the Schuylkill and it's not the Lehigh. We do not expect flooding at either location except farther to our south. It's the Delaware, and the Delaware only, obviously the streams and creeks as well. Delaware River at Easton, Peaburg, and Regalsville, those two spots in particular. Flooding begins tonight. Over the next couple of hours, major flooding is expected. Again, this river will crest. Now it looks like at 2 p.m. tomorrow in both locations. Instead of 8, the Weather Service just moving it to 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and it won't fall below flood stage until later on Tuesday or Tuesday evening. You can see here the current levels, 2050 in Easton. That's 1.5 feet from the flood stage, and even less than that at Regalsville. No real changes in the forecasted crest, 7 to 9 feet above normal. So minor flooding starts this evening, gets worse overnight and tomorrow before it comes back down on Tuesday. We'll be here with the very latest. Amanda will have cut-ins at 7, 8, and 9 tonight right here on this channel leading up to the 10 o'clock news, and always on the AccuWeather channel. Winds diminish late, clearing skies, and 54. Great stretch of weather for all of the cleanup. Dry weather expected at least through Wednesday, maybe a little shower Thursday, but looks really good for all that cleanup happening.
Hurricane Irene turned roads into rivers. The storm is over, but at least 21 deaths in 8 states are linked to her powerful punch. High winds and heavy rain battered the east coast as Irene made her way up the eastern seaboard. Good evening. I'm Karin Mallett. Millions along the East Coast are in the dark tonight, even though the rain is gone and the wind has died down. And now we take stock of the damage Irene has done. 4 people were killed in Pennsylvania as a result of this storm. 2 campers in Luzerne and Dauphin counties. A man died in a crash on the turnpike in Carbon County, and a man was hit by a falling tree in Monroe County. We're told he was able to push his son out of harm's way when the tree came crashing down. At least 21 deaths on the East Coast are being blamed now on the storm. Weather-wise, we are in a much better shape tonight, and WFMZ meteorologist Amanda Cox is in the Weather Center with the latest. Amanda.
Good evening, Karen. Hello, guys. And it is much quieter than what we were talking about this time yesterday. It has been very wild over the last several days, but if you take a look at the satellite and radar, you can actually see that this system has fallen apart very quickly and pushed off to the north of us. Now it looks like we're going to stay with clear skies and light winds for the rest of the overnight. But even though we're dry, we're still seeing lots of flooding problems around the area. High pressure is going to be taking over for Monday, so we do expect to see much relief from the active weather, which will help with cleanup efforts. We still need to keep an eye, though, on the Delaware River, which is going to cause major flooding tonight through Monday, and then it will even continue into Tuesday before finally making its way back below flood stage. I'll have more details on this, the river levels for the Delaware River, and we'll talk about some of the other locations around the region. Karen?
Thanks, Amanda. We will see them. So now that the wind and the rain has calmed down, the focus changes. It is now on when the rivers in our area are going to go over their banks. And Easton officials are watching the Delaware and Lehigh rivers. That is where we find WFMZ's Will Lewis tonight with the latest. Will.
Well, Karen, everything is calm right now, but, people are still worried. Emergency service crews have been putting up this caution tape right here at Scott Park since 8 p.m. when we got here. And Easton Mayor Sal Panto says by tomorrow, at least part of this park will be underwater. Now, most of the day people have been coming by looking at the banks of the Delaware River, but emergency crews have been coming by trying to get people from away from the banks. That's why they put this emergency tape up. And things have been bad all over. We've been all over today. Over at Spring Creek and Macungie, there was water on the road and people were still driving through that standing water, and emergency crews have been trying to get them to stop doing that. One person told me that he was amazed at the power of nature, because one of the times is like 2 days ago, it was very sunny, and then 24 hours, Hurricane Irene, which is now a tropical storm, has caused all this damage. Now, I did talk to Mayor Sal Panto right before we went on, just about an hour or so ago. He says one of his other concerns that he has right now is the power outage right at Lafayette College. The students have been without power since early this morning, and right now they don't know when that's going to be cut back on. So a lot of the students are using candles in the dorms. The school has enough generator power to keep the lights on in the hall, but they're using candles in their room, which causes a lot of concern to emergency crews. So there's going to be some extra fire crews over there up on College Hill to make sure that the students are safe, and just in case there's any emergency. Now, of course, the Delaware is expected to crest tomorrow, and there will be an emergency management meeting by officials in Easton tomorrow morning, but they say they will start looking at the river at 3 a.m., and they expect to close Larry Holmes Drive before the rush hour traffic even hits tomorrow morning. Reporting live in Easton, Will Lewis, 69 News.
All right, Will, thanks so much for that report. And as Easton deals with that impending crest, a huge fire took a toll on crews nearby. No one was home when this house caught fire on Deal Road in Williams Township, Northampton County, but you could see the flames shooting from the trees just outside the house. The owner of the home tells 69 News they had taken their pet to the vet, and by the time they got home, the house was on fire. No one was hurt. In Lehigh County, Hurricane Irene took out her frustrations on a home in New Tripoli. About 11:30 this morning, homeowner Larry Wersch says a wind gust came through and took out a bunch of trees. 2 landed on his home while he and his family were inside. Luckily, everyone was okay.
And all of a sudden, we heard this bang on the house. We lost about 7 trees, and for whatever reason, we're the only house that got hit. We have quite a mess.
This afternoon, Larry says his neighbors came out to lend a hand with the cleanup. He says everyone started showing up with their chainsaws, and he says it was heartwarming to know how much his neighbors cared and came out to help. Lots of students that were supposed to get started tomorrow will get a slight extension of their summer vacation. A complete list of closings and delays is scrolling across the bottom of the screen for you, but here are a few. The Easton and Bethlehem area school districts and several other districts in Northampton County are closed tomorrow. East Stroudsburg and many of the surrounding districts in Monroe County are also closed. Kutztown University and the Kutztown area school district are closed in Berks County. You can also get the latest list of closings by logging on to our website at WFMZ.com and clicking on the Storm Center update icon that is on the top right side of the homepage.